Imagine a Marvel movie so massive, so ambitious, and so hyped that the studio poured more than $150 million into it before a single audience ever saw a frame on screen. And imagine that after years of planning, negotiations, rewrites, cast discussions, and early CGI tests, Marvel quietly killed the entire thing. No trailer, no teaser, no press release. Just gone. Vanished from existence like it was snapped away by Thanos himself. Today, we're diving into the shocking story of the Marvel movie that never happened. A project that could have changed the MCU forever. And a project that almost nobody outside of Hollywood was supposed to know about. This is the secret story of Inhumans. Not the TV show disaster that aired later, but the original Marvel Studios film planned as a massive, cinematic universe-changing block. And trust me, once you hear what happened behind the scenes, you'll understand exactly why Marvel buried it. Let's go back to the beginning. For years, Marvel Studios wanted the Inhumans to become the next big superhero team, something on the same level as the Guardians of the Galaxy, or even the Avengers. A team with a king whose voice could destroy mountains, a queen with living hair that could crush steel, and a community of superpowered beings hidden from the rest of the world. The concept was huge, the potential was insane, and Kevin Feige himself put the movie on Marvel's official film slate. Back when Marvel announced Phase 3, fans went wild. The Inhumans movie was scheduled for a full cinematic release. Big budget, massive scope, star-studded cast, the whole deal. And this wasn't a vague idea thrown around in meetings. This project was real. Writers were hired, concept artists were paid, sets were prototyped, early VFX tests were created, and a huge portion of the film's budget was already allocated. But here's where everything began to fall apart. At the time, Marvel was internally divided between Marvel Studios, the movie side, led by Kevin Feige, and Marvel Television, which operated under a completely different structure. And both divisions wanted control of the Inhumans. That alone would be disastrous. But things got even worse. Behind the scenes, the film began to clash with another powerful Marvel project, The Rise of the Mutants. Because here's the secret most fans didn't know. The Inhumans were originally Marvel's backup plan in case they could never get the rights to the X-Men back. The mutants were owned by Fox. Marvel had no access to them. So internally, the Inhumans were being shaped as the replacement X-Men. And if that sounds messy, it gets even messier. Writers were being told to make the Inhumans feel like a fresh, cinematic version of the X-Men. But other executives wanted them to stick to the original lore. Producers disagreed on tone. Directors disagreed on scale. And while all this chaos was happening, Marvel TV was aggressively pushing the Inhumans onto Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. That move alone completely sabotaged the film. Suddenly, the movie wasn't a mysterious, new idea anymore. The Inhumans were showing up on network television, with budgets that were nowhere near cinematic quality. The spectacle was gone. The mystique was gone. And Kevin Feige was furious. While this was happening, more money was being drained from the film's development. Storyboards, costume designs, creature models, location scouting, pre-production work was piling up, and so were the costs. And then the moment that sealed the film's fate, Disney purchased Fox. Overnight, Marvel no longer needed a mutant replacement. They could finally bring the real X-Men into the MCU. And suddenly, the Inhumans movie instantly became a problem instead of a priority. Behind closed doors, Feige started pushing to cut anything connected to the Inhumans from the MCU's future plans. The movie was quietly removed from the release calendar. Actors who were attached to early casting discussions were released. Directors were told the project was moving in a different direction. And by the time the public noticed the disappearance, Marvel refused to answer questions. The project was effectively dead. But the story doesn't stop there, because this is Hollywood, and Hollywood rarely wastes a good disaster. Even after the film was cancelled, Marvel Television, still desperate to prove its relevance, tried to resurrect the project as a TV series. And what happened next became one of the biggest embarrassments in Marvel history. The series launched with a 2-episode IMAX release, which was supposed to be a grand, cinematic experience. But instead of feeling epic, audiences said it felt cheap, rushed, and unfinished. Reviews were brutal. Actors later admitted the production was chaotic and confusing. And the show was cancelled after a single season. That humiliation was the final nail in the coffin for any possibility of the Inhumans movie ever returning. And here's the part most people don't realize. Even though the film never made it to production, Marvel lost tens of millions in early development and pre-production work. By the time everything was shut down, Various departments had already sunk years of effort and mountains of money into a movie that would never exist. But what would the film have actually looked like? Well, based on insider reports, concept artists, and early drafts, here's what we know. The movie would have opened with the fall of Attilan, the secret kingdom of the Inhumans, in a huge, dramatic battle sequence. Black Bolt, their silent king, would have unleashed his voice for the first time on screen, creating a shockwave so powerful it reshaped an entire landscape. We would have seen Medusa using her living hair in full, cinematic glory. We would have seen Gorgon's earth-shattering combat, Karnak's ability to find the flaw in anything, and of course, Lockjaw, a teleporting giant bulldog, designed with blockbuster-level CGI. One of the most exciting details: Black Bolt and the Inhumans were originally supposed to cross over with the Avengers, the Guardians of the Galaxy, and even Doctor Strange. They were meant to be woven into the cosmic side of the MCU. This film wasn't just another Marvel project, it was supposed to be a pillar of the entire universe. So where does the story end? With a lesson that Hollywood never seems to learn. Even the biggest studios, with the biggest budgets and the biggest plans, can fail spectacularly. The Inhumans movie was ambitious, expensive, universe-changing, and in another timeline, it might have become one of Marvel's greatest films. But in this timeline, it's a ghost. A $150 million dream that evaporated before it ever hit the screen. And as the MCU now moves forward, with new characters, new villains, and the inevitable arrival of the X-Men, the Lost Inhumans movie remains one of Marvel's most dramatic what-if stories.